Hi everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with day 22 of my Christmas series for 2020. For today, I'm actually going to be trying a new stamp set, or I guess I should say company, and I think I have it labeled right. This is Papertrey Ink. I have to be honest, I think I live under a rock. I forget wherever I found this. But I really loved the images. It's a layering type stamp set, and this has a lot of details. String of lights. You can stamp out those string of lights. You have your 2 layers of your ornaments. You have the different hangers for the ornaments. There's also a coordinating die set that is sold separately. And again, the lights is what amazes me, and how you can layer that. You can even accent the ornaments with the 3 stripes as well, if you choose. So again, love the packaging. I mean, absolutely love the packaging, the magnetic closure, and everything. So, was very intrigued when it came to this stamp set. So we're going to start. I am going to be making a slimline card. This is going to measure a 4x9. So this white panel is actually cut about 3.5 by 8.5. Now I'm using 3 shades of Desiree K ink. I am using Jelly Bean Green, Grass Green, and Fresh Asparagus. So I'm going for a light, a mid, and a dark tone when it comes to our pine branches. Now, I took the foam piece out of my stamp positioning tool. When you have intricate pieces or intricate images like this, it is better to stamp, on a like a foam type surface. So you can use a piece of fun foam. You can, if you have a stamp positioner, you can pull that piece of foam out. If you have a piece of foam, again, it's got to be a good size so your card base can sit on it. But like a piece of foam that you use maybe for piercing paper and so forth, it will give you, by stamping on this, it will give you a better impression every time. Now, usually you don't have a stamp positioner when you're using a piece of foam. But even with this, I mean, for me, I like the stamp positioner. I really like it for sentiments, and to make sure I've got a good impression when it comes to watercolor, if I'm stamping on that, or Bristol paper, or if I'm using embossing ink, just to make sure I have a good impression. But when it comes to these images, I mean, the constant movement, removing it, adding it, removing it, would have driven me crazy. It's quicker with an acrylic block. At least that's my opinion. So once I have the branches set and the different tones put throughout, I'm going to stamp the sentiment Merry and Bright. So I've chosen that, and I'm going to be using my Desiree K amalgam ink. I do apologize, this is no longer available. It is discontinued. But there is a Desiree K Obsidian amalgam ink that is just as good. I am a huge fan of the plain amalgam ink. I'm going to miss it. Just saying. So once that's stamped, I'm pulling out my Distress Oxide. I'm using Tumbled glass first, and I will go in with broken china. I'm going to come from the bottom up and just add these 2 colors. The light blue is going to go up further than the broken china. And I am using one of my makeup brushes to make that blend. And now I'm just going to come in around the corner, and it's just going to give just a little bit, a nice stronger hint around the paper edge. I'm now going to start stamping my ornaments. So there's a teardrop and there's a round. So I'm using 2 shades of my ink. I'm using Blue Lagoon and Sea Glass, and I just stamped in Blue Lagoon for the outline, and I'm going to use the Sea Glass for the center. So the dark is going to outline, the light is going to go on the inside. So when it comes to these colors, it is lovely Lavender and Plum Punch. For the red, I'm using Red Velvet, and I'm then using Peach Bellini for the center. So now we just need to line up our images. Now for this, I will be using the stamp positioner for this, because I may want it just a little bit darker than what one stamping would look like. So I'll be able to add a second layer to that image. I just did not want to worry about lining that image back up, because I just don't do that. And I don't do it well. Just say. For some reason, and I do not know why, I kept on pushing my images down almost out of camera view. So I do apologize. At some point, I realized this and I turn my stamp positioning tool. I usually very rarely work it like this. I don't like to work it like that. I like to have my opening on my left and my stamping on my right. I know it's backwards. Everybody else does it differently. But that's just what I'm used to. So I don't know if it was hooked on something or what was going on. But at some point I do notice, okay, every time I do this, I'm off camera. Why not? Everything that could happen is happening with this series. So I am learning to adapt like there's no tomorrow. And it's awesomely fun. So we've got our, now you can see what I'm doing is after I stamp the lightest color, I'm then going back to the darkest color out of the two, and I'm using my finger sponge daubers to add that dimension, to make it look a little round on the card. Now you'll see me, I'm coming in with my sponge dauber, just coming in on the edges, and I'm just adding layer upon layer on that until I think, okay, I've got a good amount of shading going on to that image. I now grabbed the ornament topper, and there's a couple different styles, and I'm going to stamp that right over the top of each of the ornaments, and I'm going to use my Recollection Silver to heat emboss that. And I am going to do this in phases. So I wanted to do the toppers first, and then I'm going to come in and do the hangers. Once that's heat set, I'm going to put that back into my stamp positioning tool, and now I'm going to choose my hangers. Now, the hangers are awesome. I mean, we're talking about the thinnest of thin strings, and there's a couple different styles. And there's even one of those metal hangovers. Wow! Hangers that can go over the ornament as well. So I chose that one for the teardrop. The two rounds are going to have the long pieces of string coming from the tree. Again, I'm going to use my silver embossing powder. Make sure they're well coated, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to melt that powder. I just love these. I mean, the detail in the images is absolutely beautiful. Very beautiful. So I've cut a panel from black cardstock to be 4 by 9 inches, and I'm going to use my double-sided tape from edge to edge on this piece to place that down onto the black cardstock. I chose black because the sentiment was done in a black. This will help pull that sentiment out just a little bit more. Before I put that down onto the black cardstock, I dug into my stash and I grabbed a piece of silver mirror cardstock. couple things. It's going to accent, excuse me, something's in my throat. There we go. It's going to accent the silver embossing that I did, and it's just going to help frame this piece just a little bit. So those accents between the sentiment and the ornament findings, the hook and the topper, will just stand out just a little bit more. And you can see this is going to cover our card front, which again is 4x9. I'm going to dig in and put all kinds of gems all over this piece just to give it some shimmer and some sparkle. And I'm going to add some accents to the ornaments themselves. I'm using the combination of these jewels that I have. I forget where I got them. I know I got them somewhere on Amazon in a while ago for other projects that I do. So I just have a big tub of these. And I figured, you know what, I think they're perfect for my cards. So I like the size. They're a nice size. And I think they look great. I'm mixing in some of my Pretty Pink Posh clear gems as well. Again, just to add a little bit of difference in the size. And a different type of highlight, in a way, when it comes to that. Digging around for the right color, that's why it looks like I'm petting them. Again, I just dumped these into a large container. I wish I would have kept them separated, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Too late now. We can still go in there and dig. That's fine. So now I'm going to come in with my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and just go over the ornament again, adding some shimmer to the ornaments. Now remember, when you're going over either dye inks or oxides or distress inks, make sure you may see that the dye ink is moving as well on that brush. All of those inks, especially, you know, for a dye ink, you should find out if it is water reactive, will react with that pen. So that is day 22. Again, trying for the first time Papertrey Ink. I really did enjoy this set. I hope you did too. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Smile, laugh, and continue to stay safe and healthy. We will get through this, as we are continuing to do so. But remember what's most important for me. Always, always be creative. Till day 23, guys. We're getting there. Talk soon.